for their lives.
The trawler was controlled by him. He could have just sunk us if he'd really wanted to, and it was terrifying, because he didn't know whether he was going to come home anyway. I mean, it's a bad life to be out there anyway, especially when you've got something like that around you.
The Pickering was one of them ships where couldn't get to wet properly, couldn't get to fish properly. Changed the rig of the trawl, the doors, everything we could think of changing to make things work better, but when we did finally start fishing properly, things would break down on you and you couldn't complete the trip properly. So there was always problems, always had problems with it. I mean, I suppose it's sad to leave any ship. When you put a lot of effort and work into it, it's hard to let go, but there comes a time when you've got to cut your losses, you've got to leave it, you know. You're not going to make anything any better, so you've just got to cut your losses and walk away from it, basically. Walk away from it and say, that's it, I've had enough.
And walk away from it they did. 2 years later, the Pickering was scrapped.
It was the best thing for her, because she was dangerous to be at sea, was the ship. So the best thing for her was to be scrapped.
Castle is a very evil place. It's a very dark place, and I feel it holds a lot of secrets.
Looming over the Staffordshire countryside stands Tutbury Castle. For centuries, its walls were steeped in human suffering, a place where battles raged and public executions and torture were commonplace. Is it possible that a remnant of Tutbury Castle's black history has found a way to resurface? Today, Tutbury Castle is a historical landmark, complete with guided tours. The Easterns arrived there, hoping for a fun family day out.
It was a typical Sunday, and the children wanted to go to Tutbury Castle, and if I remember rightly, I didn't want to go, but you know how children are.
I've been conducting tours here for about 6 years, and I took the castle over, and sometimes we have a lot of folks here. And I wear a full period costume of Mary, Queen of Scots.
We started going up the stairs and Mark started to feel really ill. He says, well, I think I'm coming down with a bit of flu, you know. I'm going, oh, you know. I thought, oh no, he's not going to spoil the day.
I can remember walking into the castle and I felt there was like an excruciating pain on the top of my head. And then I can remember I was hearing children singing, then I heard a voice. And he was shouting very strong, harsh words. Then I started to feel an anger, a rage, and it was like something I'd never ever experienced or felt in my life. And I don't know what was happening from there.
Mom!
Veritas.
And then he started speaking this foreign language and I was like, who's this person, you know, like, it's not him.
And then I realised he was saying veritas, veritas, which is Latin for truth, truth.
I never did any languages at school, and I couldn't really understand the language, which was very strange.
Veritas, veritas.
Never seen him like that before. So I pushed the kids under the table to protect them from getting hurt. Daddy! The expression, the colour of his face, his eyes, changed.
I can remember seeing Leslie Smith and the feeling that he wanted to kill her, or I was going to kill her. And it was such an evil feeling that I was getting that was almost uncontrollable.
I was suddenly aware that this man had turned a corner, if you like, away from the shouting that was building up, and it was quite clear that he was going to be violent, and I could see what was coming, and it was frightening.
Daddy!
He lifted up his fist to hit me, and then with his other hand he went for my throat.
The children was just frightened. They didn't want to go near him, and it's awful. Because that's a dad.
The hardest thing for me is it terrified my children. It terrified my wife. And to be completely honest with you, it terrified me, and it still terrifies me.
Whatever happened to Mark at Tutbury Castle was both extreme and disturbing. It's now been nearly 2 years since his ordeal, and he is still recounting that day over and over, trying to work out what actually happened.
It's totally changed my life, it's traumatised me. I just want answers.
And in an attempt to find those answers and solve the mystery for him and his family, Mark has decided to be regressed back to that day, to that moment in time, by regressionist Vicky York.
Still the voices.